like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism.
No, I have many, no. No, that's the Democrat candidate, the nominee. The Democrats' nominee for mayor of New York. He's a jihadi, a genocidal Jew hater, a communist, and a liar. Let's dance. Put on your red shoes. A very good Monday to you, and welcome back once again. I remain at 888-630-9625. Absolutely free of charge for you to dial this number no matter where you may be in the United States of America. Perhaps even around the world, depending on what kind of phone system you're on, you know. Where we had calls last week from Moscow, Russia, right? Where else? We had several out-of-country listeners last week. Wonderful, wonderful. And it's all thanks to Al Gore, the corpulent, bloviating Albert Gore. They're a funny bunch, that whole gang. And I tell you, I've got lots of President Trump for you today. We've got what the news media has dubbed the vote-a-rama, I guess, on the what they're calling the Trump mega bill. Not even the MAGA bill. It's the mega bill. It's a big bill. It's got a lot of things in it. And the House has passed the bill in their form, and the Senate now has it. They're going through making amendments. So the cheese weenie media, they're calling it the vote-a-rama because they have to make everything as sleazy as they are. But we'll get to that. We're keeping our ear to the ground on that, and I will keep you posted. Now, with that said, let me get to this, the New York Democrat. The Democrats love, and we are keeping our ear to the ground on Idaho, waiting for a name, for an identification of the individual that shot and murdered, assassinated 2 firefighters, shot and wounded a 3rd firefighter, apparently after starting a forest fire himself. The fire department came and he started shooting the firefighters. This is not a good situation. I'm gonna keep you posted on that as developments warrant. But with that said, let me get back to this communist Democrat, Zohran Mamdani, who is a real piece of work. He certainly is. And I was reading about him. You know, he lived in Uganda as a little kid. Then they moved to South Africa for a couple of years. His father, a college professor. His mother, a filmmaker who worked with big Hollywood people like Denzel Washington. And he's pretending. And then New York, I think by the time he was 7 years old, they moved to the Upper West Side of Manhattan in New York, which is not where the poor people move. And he's still crying poor mouth because he's a filthy communist. And he was on Meet the Press yesterday, and he said, we played audio of him last week, and we played it just a couple of minutes ago. Do you like capitalism? No, is his answer, no. That makes him a communist. He was asked yesterday, are you a communist? And he said no, because he's a lion Sacagawea. And then he said, I don't think we should have billionaires. Maybe boxcars and gas chambers might be in the offing for the Democrat Party's nominee for mayor. Also, did you see this thing? The dating, turns out support for Mamdani in New York can be troublesome if you're in the dating business in New York City, which is kind of monkeypox risky all over the place. But setting that aside, Zohran was on Mamdani. He was on Meet the Press yesterday with a Democrat fluffer and says, I don't think we should have billionaires. He doesn't believe in capitalism. There are no follow-up questions from the phony baloney reporter because they're not real reporters. Amazing stuff going on and on. But, yeah, he opposes capitalism and then says he's not a communist. Well, what are you exactly? Well, I'm a socialist. Oh, like an NBC anchor. He could be like an MSNBC anchor, couldn't he? Amazing stuff. And President Trump now threatening to withhold funding from New York City if the communist, jihadi, genocidal Jew hater, Democrat Mayor Mamdani if he wins the mayor's race and becomes mayor of New York. And Donald Trump says, well, we might have to withhold federal funds from New York City. I think New York City would last about a minute without other people's money flowing in. Lots and lots of stuff going on. And President Trump cracking down on illegal aliens. The media is very angry. Mike Tyson is in the news because he wants to, I guess, if not legalize, decriminalize pot, smoking pot, the marijuana. So we've got that update coming up as well. But let's go to, because President Trump, let's go to soundbite number 1. We sometimes do that. Maria Bartiromo on Fox Business Channel and Fox News Channel, Maria Bartiromo, and she's wonderful, talking to President Trump. And she asked President Trump about Zohran Mamdani. And so would you think he's a good communist or the other kind of communist?
What did you make of the New York Democrat primary? Mamdani.
He's a communist. I think it's very bad for New York. I don't know that he's going to get in. It's inconceivable that but he's a communist, and he's a pure communist. I think he admits it.
Well, communists lie about everything. That's one of the things about communists is you can always depend on them to lie, and lie with enthusiasm, lie like professionals. They pretty amazing things. President Trump on Mamdani.
Let's say this. If he does get in, I'm going to be president, and he's going to have to do the right thing, or they're not getting any money. He's got to do the right thing. It's shocking that I used to say we will never have a socialist in this country. No, but we'll have a communist. I mean, he's a communist and going to be mayor of New York.
He's the Democrat Party today. Democrat Party they've always been pretty bad, with slavery and all that. Oh, yeah, speaking of which, you got to get to Michelle Obama today. They love slavery. Now they have illegal aliens, their new slaves, sleeping in dog beds down by the hot water heater in the concrete basement, raising the kids, cleaning up. The Democrat Party, they haven't changed. The terminology has changed, but not much else. And Maria Bartiromo talking to President Trump about Zohran Mamdani. And, the Democrats, they're all about, he says he wants to not cooperate with ICE, defund the police, empty the prisons, close the prisons. He's pro-illegal alien, pro-sanctuary city. He is as un-American as any Democrat you're going to find, and that is pretty darn un-American. Maria Bartiromo.
Well, he said he's going to fight ICE. He's not going to allow ICE to...
He'll be very unsuccessful.
And he said if Benjamin Netanyahu comes to New York, he's going to have him arrested.
Oh, he's a radical left lunatic.
I always leave out, and I should include that every time, and arrest the Prime Minister of Israel, one of America's most important allies, if he arrives in New York City. He's got a big security detail, and they're heavily armed. And actually, when he gets here, I think he picks up Secret Service as well. So what he wants is war inside the United States, like a lot of Democrats do these days. They're not on our side. His name is Zohran. Don't mess with the Zohran Mamdani. And he is a radical and extremist, genocidal racist in perfectly good standing with the Democrat Party. Again, he says he's going to arrest and jail the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and not the Ayatollah. And hasn't said if the Ayatollah arrived in New York that he'd arrest him. Hasn't mentioned that. How about the head of Hamas? Is there a head of Hamas anymore? Or is there just a head? You could just be a head in a bag, like a bowling ball bag or something like that. All right, and then Zohran Mamdani was welcomed warmly onto the TV set at NBC Fake News for a television show called Meet the Press, and I want to share that with you. He was being fluffed and groomed by Kristen Welker, who's not a journalist, but a chapstick-toting Democrat Party activist, and Kristen Welker talking yesterday, lovingly, adoringly, glowingly to don't mess with the Zohran Mamdani.
You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer for all of them.
I look forward to working with everyone, I think would be grammatically correct. But his private schools, so often the case that these private schools don't serve these Democrats very well. Zohran Mamdani declines to condemn, globalize the intifada, is the headline at the left-wing radical Politico. They're in bed with him. They can't wait to get him elected. Honestly, New York would have to be walled off. New York City would have to be walled off. No one wouldn't be safe. It's not safe to go there now, but it would be less safe to go there. And the illegal aliens, again, jail. Not the Ayatollah, not the head of Hamas, but Benjamin Netanyahu. Declare global intifada, which is a violent war against Jews all over the world. And he smiles, and the Democrats love him. He's so handsome. He speaks so well. What a nice smile. He has good hair. They literally want to procreate with him, which is the least important function a woman's body performs, according to Big Mike. But there it is. So Kristen Welker, and you heard, we played it for you first, President Trump talking to Maria Bartiromo on the Fox News Channel. President Trump referring to him as a communist. Kristen Welker wants to fluff him.
Well, let me ask you about what Donald Trump, the president of the United States, has had to say. He's had a lot to say about your campaign. He called you a communist. Because he's the president, I want to give you a chance to respond directly to him. How do you respond? Are you a communist?
No, I am not. And I have already had to start to get used to the fact that the president will talk about how I look, how I sound, where I'm from, who I am.
How I sound is all the multiple accents that he's affected over time, that he's been mocked for appropriately by many people, including perhaps the President of the United States. But he has adopted a series of phony accents, which Democrats have a long history of doing. Hillary Clinton, I ain't by no ways tired. Nobody told me the road would be easy. Well, you married a pig, but that might have something to do with it. But she asked him there, are you a communist? Because President Trump said you're a communist. And then one of the things Kristen Welker did not do is then confront him with what he said last week on CNN, which kind of matters when you're having this discussion.
Do you like capitalism?
No,
I have a lot of complaints about it. No, the answer is no. The one word, one syllable, two-letter answer is no. Do you like capitalism? No. And if you don't like capitalism, what are you? I'm a democratic socialist. That's the fig leaf that communists use to hide behind. Isn't it amazing? And then, hey, what about globalize the intifada so we can kill Jews wherever they are and destroy them? That'll bring us to Trayon White in Washington, D.C., too, who's running for office again in a special election after being expelled from office. Isn't it amazing? Kristen Welker then got to this communist, genocidal, racist, mainstream Democrat, all perfectly mainstream Democrat Party stuff. And wait till you hear what he had to say, the back and forth. And the Democrats, well, they've got an interesting relationship with him. They're a little tenuous. They don't want their good name, slavery and the bullwhip and Jim Crow. They don't want their good assassinations. They don't want their good name being smeared by what they do and what they say and who they like. It's easy to brush off that tight feeling in your chest, right? Maybe a flutter in your heart. No big deal. Shortness of breath could be nothing, probably is. But what if it's not? Now, I'm not one to run to the doctor every time something feels a little funny, but I do care about staying ahead of my health. It's a good idea, especially heart health. Thanks to KardiaMobile, because they sent me the KardiaMobile 6L, and they asked me for my honest opinion. And, I let you know, it's a little device. It's very impressive. It genuinely is. Most advanced personal EKG that you're going to find anywhere in the market. It's FDA cleared to detect atrial fibrillation, AFib, one of the leading causes of stroke. That's all. It's more accurate than those single lead wearables that a lot of people have on your wrist and stuff. And just a fraction of what a smartwatch costs, too. It's a great device. It honestly is. Whether you're at home, you're traveling, very easy to travel with, in between doctor visits, it gives you peace of mind, and it really works. And right now, for a limited time, my listeners get 10% off. That's you. All you have to do is go to Kardia.com, Kardia.com, or go to Amazon and use the code 10-6L-PLANT. 10% off, 6L, that's the device, Plant, that's my last name. That's Kardia Mobile 6L, sponsored by AliveCore. Yeah. All right, I've got more of this lunatic coming up, and your calls as well. We remain at 888-630-9625.
When we talk about my politics, I call myself a democratic socialist, in many ways inspired by the words of Dr. King.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. All right, they also had a big concert event in Great Britain where they're chanting deaf to the IVF because they have a silly English accent. They sound like that. Silly English people. I'll get to that as well. Kill the Jews. The Democrats, the left, are really hoping this will catch on again, just like it did with the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler. See any common thread in there anyway? Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Steve, calling from Sarasota, Florida. Stephen, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Morning, Chris.
Hey Steve.
Just want to thank all the people of New York for sponsoring all the well-trained New York police officers to come down here and help us keep us more safe than we already are, even though we're probably the safest state already. And these communists, they got to rebrand themselves. They find somebody who's well spoken. All of a sudden, they want to shove them right to the front of the line in the Democrat Party. All of a sudden, and rebrand themselves because they, it's crazy, Chris. This is absolute lunacy that one communist after another can get elected for office. Most of these guys, they hide exactly what they want to do. But this guy kind of comes out and says it, and now they're in trouble because he's found himself, in the driver's seat right here in the largest city in the United States. You can't even make it up. And now I don't think that they know what to do now. No, so they have to tell him, hey, don't say you're a communist.
It kind of looks that way. They're playing a semantic game now because it's out of the bag.
I am not a liberal. Liberals amuse me. I am a socialist. I live to the extreme left. Great. The extreme left of you mere liberals, okay?
Yes. MSDNC anchorman Lawrence O'Donnell, seven-figure socialist. It's easier to be a socialist when you have limousines waiting outside and a seven-figure network TV salary. The battle continues between good and evil, between right and wrong, and some people never learn. We call them Democrats. Now, let's get back to, speaking of Democrats, a hack posing as a journalist named Kristen Welker, kind of like Lawrence O'Donnell, a hack. He's a communist. When you say you're a socialist, you're here to steal everything from everybody. And this Democrat who is running for mayor of New York, and he is the Democrat Party's nominee, Zoran. And Zoran, he said that billionaires should not exist. Now, I don't know if you kill them or just steal everything from them, but those would be two primary ways to ensure that New York City no longer has billionaires. Another way is to elect this guy, and then every billionaire would leave because you wouldn't stay waiting for the troops to come and round you up and knock your teeth down your throat with a rifle butt, steal everything you have, because they're Bolsheviks. It's what the commies have always done. Don't think that they're going to give up on that. But the Democrats, they've also, and we're going to get this concert in Great Britain as well with Bob Vylan. Bob Vylan, he's kind of a Bob Dylan, but he's Bob Vylan. And he wants to kill all the Jews. He's coming to the United States soon, so sons and daughters of America will be buying tickets to go see Bob Vylan as he calls for Israel to be wiped out. It's just a country with a particular ethnic group, but never mind that. So here is left-wing fake journalist, Fanker, she's known as a Fanker, a fake anchor, Kristen Welker, talking to Zoran about killing the Jews wherever you may find them on planet Earth.
I want to ask you about an issue that has divided some New Yorkers in recent weeks. You were recently asked about the term globalize the intifada, if it makes you uncomfortable.
Which you use.
You did not condemn the phrase. Now, just so folks understand, it's a phrase that many people hear as a call to violence against Jews. There's been a lot of attention on this issue. So I want to give you an opportunity to respond here and now. Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the intifada?
That's not language that I use. The
Listen
language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead this city is
Don't
that
condemn.
which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights.
Yeah, that was not, I do condemn. That's not what he said. He had an opportunity to globalize the intifada, so guerrilla warfare against Jews all over the planet. Is that something you support? Well, it's not the terminology. It's not the phrasing that I use. But, and the but is the key word there. But, yeah, but I'm in favor of war against race war, ethnic war, anti-Semitic war, globally, worldwide, because I'm the Democrat nominee for mayor of New York, keeping in mind, once again, that New York City has the largest Jewish population outside of Israel. Anywhere on the planet Earth, Israel has the largest Jewish population. New York City is number 2, and he's running for mayor there. And honestly, there are CEOs being shot and killed on the sidewalks of New York by Democrat Party activists who have been taught to hate insurance companies and healthcare companies and CEOs and success. How dare you be a CEO? Now, he was invited to say, do you condemn the term globalize the intifada? And he did not answer yes. That is pretty much what you need to hear. I'm sorry, I did that. No, it's Kristen Welker, because honestly, the short version, well, play it since you have it right there. My fault. Do you condemn the phrase? And he does not say yes.
But do you actually condemn it? I think that's the question and the outstanding issue that a number of people, both of the Jewish faith and beyond, have. Do you condemn that phase, globalize the intifada, which a lot of people hear as a call to violence against Jews?
I've heard from many Jewish New Yorkers who have shared their concerns with me, especially in light of the horrific attacks that we saw in Washington, D.C. and in Boulder, Colorado, about this moment of anti-Semitism in our country and in our city. And I've heard those fears, and I've had those conversations, and ultimately they are part and parcel of why in my campaign I've put forward a commitment to increase funding for anti-hate crime programming by 800%.
Funding 800%? That's quite, why not 1,000%? We're already at 800%. Hate crime. Now that is not, you notice that he didn't respond to the question still. He hasn't. He's a snake. He's a varmint. He's a weasel. He is un-American. He's anti-American. He's anti-capitalist. He's anti-Semitic. What's he for? He's anti-billionaire, so he's anti-success. You know, at this point, it's only $1,000 million. We got the guys out there that are worth $400 billion. You know, and Jeff Bezos got married over the weekend again. Isn't that amazing? In Italy, caused quite the upheaval. So here's Zoran. And so what are you going to, 800, they always think increasing funding for something. I'm going to increase funding to fight poverty. Oh, he's against poverty. No, he just said that he's going to increase funding with it's other people's money. It's pretty easy to sound good, other people's money. And that's classic left-wing stuff. Man, these people, they are not on the side of Western civilization. So here's Don't Mess with the Zoran on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker, talking about, and this is just great, he lies about everything, as communists always do. Perfectly normal. If you're not aware of this already, I'm here to inform you, to enlighten you. Commies lie about everything. Talk out of both sides of their mouths. Typical Democrat talks out of both sides of his mouth, too. They're at least part commie all the time. But total commies, they lie about everything. And then he gets to, Mahmoud Khalil, and he lies about Mahmoud. Mahmoud Khalil got in trouble because, first of all, he was stirring up genocidal anti-Semitism on the campus of Columbia University, another Ivy League school, one that Barack Obama Hussein went to. And he was mentored by a communist named Frank Marshall Davis, right? And Mahmoud Khalil lied all over his application forms to gain access to the United States about radical terrorist organizations that he supports, is affiliated with, including one that calls for wiping Israel off the face of the earth and Western civilization to be wiped off the face of the earth, Mahmoud Khalil. And when applying for entry to the United States of America, he lied and lied and lied and misrepresented and omitted, and that's illegal, and that'll get you kicked out of the country. And so here comes Zoran lying to Kristen Welker, who is too ill-informed, too ignorant, doesn't follow the news, gets her news from CNN and MSDNC, and therefore has no real idea what's going on in the world. And when Zoran said, oh, yeah, especially after these incidents in Washington, D.C., where 2 embassy employees were shot and killed by a psychopath taught to hate the Jews by the Democrat Party, and amazing. And in what he cited, Boulder, Colorado, where an illegal alien who overstayed his visa, a guy from Egypt who supports the Muslim Brotherhood, which is illegal in Egypt, but the Democrats make sure it's legal here. Isn't that amazing? Just remarkable stuff, I've got to say. I'm telling you. All right, now let's get back to Zoran, because he said, oh, well, Trump, bad. Mahmoud Khalil, genocidal Jew hater, good.
I don't believe that the role of the mayor is to police speech in the manner especially of that of Donald Trump, who has put one New Yorker in jail who's just returned to his family, Mahmoud Khalil, for that very supposed crime of speech.
Supposed crime of speech? No, that's a lie. You are a criminal. You should be arrested. Pre-dawn raid, FBI, CNN camera crew across the street. That is. Now, Mahmoud Khalil, his problem was, well, that he's a genocidal Jew hater, but that's okay with the Democrat Party. It's that he lied on his forums to get into the United States of America, and that's what got him in trouble. Now, the Democrats, they lie like commies a lot of the time, too. Isn't that great? And Mahmoud Khalil, very excited, returned to his family. Well, how about the Egyptian guy who overstayed his visa that set fire to an 88-year-old Holocaust survivor in Boulder, Colorado? Has he been returned to his family yet? Amazing. Mahmoud Khalil details detainment during son's birth. It got me in the heart. Really? Well, genocidal Nazi-like Jew haters kind of get me in the heart too. And I'm Irish Catholic, but that's not important now. And Mahmoud Khalil, he went on the television, of course. The media calls him a Palestinian activist, detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement for 104 days in a Friday interview on MSDNC. You'll be surprised to learn. Went straight to MSDNC. Hey, come on over, the limousine. So they interviewed him on Friday. And he says, I lost like one of the most divine moments. And look, you're in jail because you're genocidal, Nazi-like, jihadi, racist, who entered the country on false pretenses, and it was found out and you were caught. And all the news media are sobbing with him. Even their Jews are sobbing with him. Isn't it amazing? So just amazing. And his speech, well, you just go around saying the things that Nazis would say, genocidal, hate speech. You know, they love the term hate speech. They call everything. If you're a devout Catholic, they call what you say in Mass hate speech. And then they come out and sound like Adolf Hitler himself while calling everybody else Nazis. No sense of irony. The fake reporter, Kristen Welker, and her pal Zoran.
But quickly, for the people who care about the language and who feel really concerned by that
people who
phrase,
care, some
why
people
not
care.
Just condemn it?
My concern is...
What's your concern?
To start to walk down the line of language and making clear what language I believe is permissible or impermissible takes me into a place similar to that of the president, who is looking to do those very kinds of things, putting people in jail for writing an op-ed, putting them in jail for protesting. Ultimately, it's not language that I use. It's language I understand there are concerns about.
Didn't happen.
And what I will do is showcase my vision for the city through my words and my actions.
Nobody was put in jail for writing an op-ed. Nobody was put in jail for having an opinion. He is a pathological psychopath, a liar, a fraud, a charlatan, Jew-hating, genocidal Democrat. You know, and he's the Democrat nominee for mayor, and he's anti-capitalist and lies that he's not a communist. And, you know, it's him and those of his ilk that would put everybody in jail in the end. And I've got to say, oh, gosh, I wish you hadn't lied on your application forms to get in the United States and to come to Columbia University, an Ivy League school, on other people's dime, and then stir up the anti-Semitic zeal and violence. And then, hey, what's this guy doing here? And then you check, you see that he lied on his application forms to get into the country. And Columbia University, where Barack Obama went, they're all fine with that, aren't they? Yes, they are. I want to get to the stock market today, too. I got to take a look at the stock market where it is right now, because the markets are breaking records all over the place thanks to Donald Trump, and the Democrat Party just wants to burn the Jews. So let's keep that in mind. They're quite amazing. And let's go. It's number 10, because the New York City is, of course, a sanctuary city, so gangs and jihadis can gather there freely and destroy the world.
Are you committed to keeping New York as a sanctuary city?
Absolutely, because ultimately we've seen that this is a policy that has kept New Yorkers safe for decades, and it's a policy that we've seen ensures that New Yorkers can get out of the shadows and into the full life of the city.
Those aren't New Yorkers; those are illegal aliens.
I would be proud to stand up for.
Illegal alien criminal gang members. He's proud to stand up for, and this has kept people safe. That woman that was set on fire on the subway train recently by an illegal alien. Never mind any of that. It's wonderful, isn't it? You know, Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, was hit over the head by Maxwell Silverhammer, who was an illegal alien. He was from Canada. He's from America's hat. Kristen Welker with the communist.
We went on your website and realized there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods.
Tax whitey.
Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
Me? That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
Yeah. Well, you Arabs should stop shooting people. Well, he's not even an Arab. He's Indian. You Muslims. He's a Muslim. You should stop blowing people up. And that's just white people. It's just you're not racializing it because it's only white people. Can he be? He came here when he was 7 years old to the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Maybe he should be expelled to the Bronx or something. Democrats. Man, oh, man. There's more, too. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally here. And the third generation builds on the incredible success of the previous two generations, which already earned thousands of five-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet. The new thunderstorm uses two technologies that studies have demonstrated help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air in your home, in your apartment. It also removes dust and pet dander and smoke and all kinds of nastiness from the air that you breathe. And it gets rid of any odor with no filters to have to buy online or at Home Depot and replace over and over again. No, sir. The thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Talking about the smells from trash cans and cigarette smoke and musty basements and left-wing protesters. No match for the Eden Pure thunderstorm. And the smells disappear in a matter of seconds. Right now, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure thunderstorm 3-pack for a whole home protection. So you can put one in your basement, your bedroom, the teenager's room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code Chris3, Chris and the number 3, to save $200 on 3 thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris3. Yes, sir. Yeah, we've got more of this jihadi. He doesn't like the world. Well, not our world. The Democrats like him, though. I think there's something maladjusted about them.
Are you a communist?
No.
Do you like capitalism?
No.
Now, I see there are callers on the line that I'd really like to get to and talk to. But right now, if you're on the line, know that I don't have enough time to go to you and do your call justice. And there is one in particular that I really look forward to going to and talking to. So hopefully those people will hang in there. We've got a lot more coming up because of all the hijinks going on Capitol Hill right now. And the Dow Jones Industrials, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, I want to update you. And also want to talk about Mike Tyson smoking pot. How's that going to end? It usually ends the same way, doesn't it? So we got that. And the Senate vote-a-rama. A lot of big things coming up. President Trump's crackdown on illegals as well.